All right, I want to start by welcoming two groups of people. Actually, I want you guys to help me welcome two groups of people. One, I want you to welcome the Columbia State baseball team right here, all 40 of them, front three rows. They always join us at least once a year, and you guys, class tomorrow, right? Classes start tomorrow at C-State, and when does the fall season start, or has it started? Is it coming up? They're nodding their heads. Yes. I'm sure they've been on campus already practicing and getting ready for that. So y'all make sure and go watch some Columbia State baseball. They play good baseball over there. So if you get a chance, go out and watch some games there. Second group of people I want to welcome is our Spring Hill campus. Would you guys welcome the Spring Hill campus? I owe them an apology because I forgot about you last Sunday. Not that you were meeting. I remembered that Spring Hill was meeting, but I forgot to say good morning to the Spring Hill campus. And that's because we had a big Sunday last Sunday. We had HK Derryberry with us, and I just got nervous and forgot. I had this whole script of everything that I was going to say before I introduced HK, and I just got nervous and totally forgot about it. But it was a very, very powerful Sunday. Somebody asked me on the way in this morning, they said, "What's the latest we've ever got out of church?" And I said, last Sunday. But nobody noticed. We went to, the second service went to 12:45 or something. It was just crazy. But it was very, very powerful. I've quoted HK all week. I thought I had a picture of him up there, but Keith, you may have to find it for me here. But I've quoted HK all week. My favorite quote of his was, "The only disability is a negative attitude." The only disability any of us have is a negative attitude. And that's it. Just be positive. Be positive. If HK can be positive and energetic, enthusiastic about life, I can be positive and energetic, enthusiastic about life. So I'm going to talk a little bit I'm going to use HK's message from last week to set up what I want to talk to you about this week. But first, I got a special announcement I want to share with you, and it's cool. We've been in a process since June of adding new leaders to the church. So we're adding elders and we're adding campus shepherds. And we have one of those elders that we're ready to introduce. So we're not going to do it like one Sunday. We're going to introduce a whole bunch of people at one time. We're just going to kind of introduce them as they come on board. But we've got an elder that's going to be installed today. They'll start meeting with us, and they're already on the email thread and all that kind of stuff. And one of our priorities with this leadership was we wanted to have an elder from the Spring Hill campus. And our elders lead both campuses. So the elder team actually provides leadership for both Columbia and Spring Hill. But up until this point, we haven't had anybody from the Spring Hill campus on that team. And we're getting ready to add one today, and I want to introduce him to you today. Robert Jackson is going to be joining our leadership team as an elder. And that's his wife, Tiffany, and his daughter, Leah. And I think we ought to welcome them. You ought to be really loud in Spring Hill. I want to hear you in Spring Hill. But let's congratulate Robert on this today. Now, they're going to have a time of prayer over him. When I'm done talking, Ebony was going to lead the church in a time of prayer over Robert and Tiffany. He asked if he had to be in both campuses at the same time, and that wasn't going to work. So he's in Spring Hill. Several of our elders are over there this morning, or at least one of them for sure. Maybe have a second over there to welcome him. But Robert works at Murray Regional. They live here in Columbia. They've been a part of our Spring Hill campus since it started. Since day one, and very active over there. He's working on, or I think just finished, his MDiv at Lipscomb. So, and they lead a small group over there, or part of a small group. So I'm really excited about him coming on board. I've met with him a couple times. Our eldership's met with him a couple times, and I think he's going to be a great addition to our leadership team. So we'll get him over to Columbia at some point where you can meet him. So we'll kind of rotate that around where you can meet him. But let's talk HK for just a minute here. One of the things that HK said, he talked about, and one of the reasons we asked him to come was I wanted you to see an example of what saying yes looks like. So like the way we've done this series is we've been talking this is the fourth week right here. So the first 2 weeks we just talked about it. Why are we supposed to serve? What does that look like? Why are we volunteering? Those kinds of things. So I wanted to talk about it for 2 weeks. And then the third week I wanted you to see an example of what it looks like. Because what HK has done and what Jim has done, and really both of their stories are amazing, but what they've done is they've said yes. An opportunity popped up. Jim turned left at a red light when he should have turned right, and that took him into Mrs. Winters, and he met HK, and both of their lives were changed forever. And now thousands of lives have been changed through that relationship. And it's because Jim said yes. He said he saw a young man who was disabled and nobody was talking to him, and he said yes. And he stopped and he answered, the Spirit's call in that moment. And then HK said yes to that opportunity. And now he's going around speaking at all of these different schools and all these different churches, inspiring people. This is the verse I tried to quote at the end. If you remember, I couldn't remember the verse, but I tried to quote it. 1 Peter 4:10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Think about the power of that last statement in that verse. We are stewards of God's grace. So, what God has done for us is amazing. And the forgiveness that we've been offered through God, the fact that He sent His Son to die for us so that we could be restored in a relationship with Him, God has now said, I'm entrusting you with this message of grace. You are stewards of this grace. And how is that grace shared with other people? Through serving. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received. And I want to expand that just a little bit. Whatever gift you have received, whatever talent you have received, whatever life experiences you have had, whatever career experiences you have had, whatever backgrounds you have had, whatever pains you've had or hurts, God can use those things to administer His grace to others if you allow Him to use you to serve others. Whatever education you've received, whatever passions you have, whatever inspires you, each of us are inspired and motivated by different things. God can use those. And it doesn't matter. It could be serving somewhere in this community. It could be serving somewhere in this church. It may be, working in the nursery with babies. It may be greeting people. I love to watch Aubrey Flagg out here greeting people on a Sunday morning because he has the gift of gab, right? Aubrey Flagg can do it, right? He can say hello to people, and he's got this big smile on his face. And I love watching him do that because God has designed him for that. God's designed him to open the door for people and say good morning and make them feel welcome. And I love that. I love watching Barbara and Glenn Voss work in our nursery. They were in our first service. They're working in the nursery right now. And they do an incredible job with that nursery because that's just, God's wired them that way. They just do an incredible job making those mamas feel comfortable dropping off those babies. And that's what the nursery job is all about. It's making the mamas feel comfortable about dropping off those babies and knowing that they're going to be well taken care of. So whatever gift we have received, we're to use it to serve others. And if we don't do that, well, let's look at a couple other verses. This is James chapter 1, verse 22. You guys know James doesn't pull any punches. James said it this way: do not merely listen to the word and so you deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Listening's what you got to listen, right? You got to listen. Coach, I use a baseball analogy. You got to listen to what coach says, right? But if you don't do what coach says, then the listening doesn't count, right? You got to listen. It's the order. You got to listen, but then you got to do. And that's what James is saying to Christians. He's like, you got to listen. You got to listen to the word, and you got to listen to what God is calling you to do, but you also got to do it. You have to take action. Here's the way he put it in the second chapter. He said, what good is it? And sisters, claims to have faith, but has no deeds. And he's kind of saying, what good is it to listen but not do? What good is that? What good is it to believe something but then not let that belief inspire action? Can that save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Faith must be accompanied by action for faith to be a living, breathing thing. So, we've talked about this 2 weeks. We saw an example last week. Here's what I want to do this week and the next week. I want to do it. let's stop talking about it. Let's get up out of our seats and let's go do it. So we got 2 opportunities coming up. Scott told you about one of them, Serve Sunday. If you would, grab the cards that you filled out at the beginning, and if you didn't fill one out at the beginning, go ahead and fill one out real quick. And Spring Hill, I don't know if you got cards with you or not, but grab a piece of paper, grab something, and have that card ready. If you're in town next Sunday, we need your help. Now, I panicked Tuesday and sent you about 5 emails. And it worked. 150 people signed up in between Tuesday and today. So we're where we need to be. You know, like we can accomplish the task now. So I'm not nervous about accomplishing the task. But we can accomplish it much faster if we get another 100 volunteers. So right now we're planning to be at, there's 8 of the Maury County schools that we're going to be at from 8 a.m. to noon. Well, if enough of y'all sign up today, it may be 8 to 9, it may be 8 to 10. We'll knock that thing out of there and get out of there. We're scheduled to be at Columbia Academy and Zion Christian from 1 to 5. But, you know, we might could do 1 to 2 if enough of you guys sign up. Or maybe we can do 1 to 3 if enough folks sign up. You can actually make it to the Dove Field. So that's the plan, is Serve Sunday. We need your help. If you're going to be in town, mark it down. Okay, if you're going to be in town, write down Serve Sunday and let us know what school you're going to do. And those of you that helped with, you're back there. We're going to take our offering up right now, so just drop those cards. Scott said drop the containers in the containers. Don't do that. Just drop the cards in the containers as it comes around. And there's the other ways you can give as well as they're taking up that offering. Now, as they're taking up the offering, let me tell you about step 2. Step 2 is today. Today you have the opportunity to say yes. And if you look around in this room, there are 5 or 6 tables in the back of the room. In Spring Hill, there are 5 or 6 tables in the lobby. So you saw them when you came in. And you're probably wondering, what are those tables for? Here's what they're for. Those are say yes opportunities. The back of this room and in the lobby at Spring Hill, those are say yes opportunities. And what we're asking you to do, I'm going to give you the rest of the sermon time. I'm going to stop talking and give you an opportunity to say yes. And there'll be volunteers at each one of those tables, and they're going to help you kind of decide, hey, where do I want to plug in? Where do I want to volunteer? So it may be that you want to be in a small group. There is a small group table back there if you want to sign up for small groups. We've got 27 groups meeting in Columbia right now. We've got 3 groups meeting in Spring Hill. We got about 350 adults meeting in small groups right now. If you're not one of them, there's an opportunity right there. Say yes to a small group. Go back there and talk to the community groups team. Sign up, and they'll send you some information about groups. Try to connect you with a group. There's also service groups back there. So if you're interested in helping with the worship team, maybe you got the gift of singing, you know, maybe you got you play guitar or something, go back there and sign up and let us know about that. Or if you're interested in helping in the sound booth or with video, or the host team, if you'd like to be somebody that can serve as a greeter and say hello to folks and help guests feel welcome here. The safety team. If you're interested in helping with special events, we got to, like, I'd like to help with Not So Scary. I'm good with doing food. I'm good with setting up and tearing down tables and all that. I'd like to help with that. Member care. All those tables back there, there'll be volunteers back there that you can talk to and just talk to them about it. Hey, what do you guys do? What do you do? How could I help? Can I be a part of that? And there's a little card you can sign up and say yes to that opportunity. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to do with the rest of our time. Now, if you're already in a group and you're already serving somewhere, then I guess you get to go home early. Okay? But if you're missing one of those things, if you're not in a group or you're not serving somewhere, actually, I tell you what, if you're already serving somewhere, go back to one of those tables you're serving and you can tell people about it. If you're serving in our children's ministry, go back to the children's ministry table and help Tammy talk to people about it. Because we got a lot of folks in this service, and this may take a little while. But that's okay. We got until 11 o'clock, if need be. All right? We don't have another service coming in here until 11 o'clock. So I'm going to say a prayer for us, and then we're going to go say yes. This is our impromptu ministry fair is what we're calling it. You didn't know it was coming, but now it's here. Okay, let's pray. Father, I want to thank you for this church. I'm thankful for its generosity, the money that was raised for HK, last Sunday, the money that it was going to be used for Serve Sunday, because those projects cost money, and not just volunteer hours, but there's going to be some money that we set aside to help the schools out. I'm thankful for the generosity of this church. I'm also thankful for the resources in this church. There are people in this room right now that are gifted and talented and experienced and skilled in areas that I'm not. And we need every one of them, whatever it may be. There's people in this room, God, that know how to build stuff. There's people in this room that know how to talk to kids in a way that connects with them. There's people in this room that know how to organize stuff. There's people in this room that know how to play instruments and to use their voice as an instrument. God, I pray that you help us connect the dots in the next 20, 25 minutes, where we can connect the people who have those skills and abilities with the ministry that they can serve in. And I just pray you help us do that, Father. It's in your Son's name I pray these things. Amen. All right, what I'd like you to do next is say yes.